Hello, Vegas parents. It's Tim, your friendly neighborhood tutor, and today I want to talk about why so few men are in education. I was listening to this podcast. That's something I like to do. I like to listen to podcasts, keep myself updated on everything going on in stuff like education that I'm involved in, and it was really interesting podcast about the benefit of dads reading to their kids. So I don't have the info with me on that podcast, but if you're interested, send a comment or send me a direct message. I'm happy to look that up for you. But it was the Early Education Childhood podcast, and it was about the benefits of dads reading to their kids, and it talks about the different attitudes that men tend to have, and these are generalities, so there's always going to be exceptions, right? And every case is going to be individual. I feel like there's always a disclaimer anytime we talk about something like gender or mothers and fathers or anything like that. Yes, there are differences, and every case is unique, but there's also trends. There's also patterns, and one of the patterns was dads were more laid back. Um, Dads were more, what is the word for it? Coffee is magic. So, dads were more laid back. They asked more open-ended, broader questions. There was something about asking about a butterfly, and the moms tended to ask for the colors of the butterfly, whereas the dad would bring up a story with a butterfly, which usually goes against um, the typical things that we hear of like, oh, men are more analytic. Um, but this is a study, and I can send anyone the podcast info if you're interested. Um, but I found that being in a teaching environment in school, I'm also fairly well outnumbered as a guy, and I bring a certain male energy that it's a little different from the traditional school environment, and I'm not alone in this. I'm certainly not that unique. Um, but it's just an interesting observation that the way schools are designed, it's very orderly, very, very regimented, even the best schools. Um, it's, uh, it's really, really interesting how you would think that a lot of that would be male energy, right? The order, the organization. So it's very contrarian, what I learned in this podcast, but I really buy into it because as I'm there, I kind of want to party with the kids. Obviously get the stuff done as well. Um, but things like noise level that seems to freak out so many of my female colleagues. Um, I'm okay with the kids being loud as long as they're being productively loud. If they're giggling as they knock out their geometry, I am ecstatic. And if they have side conversations while they're productive, um, for me that's just fine. But I've noticed for a lot of other teachers, it's a big deal, and they get and these are my friends, but it affects them differently than it affects me. For me, kids going a little wild as long as they're on task and achieving what they're supposed to achieve. I enjoy it. I'm fine with it, and I didn't even equate that to gender until I heard this podcast this morning. So it's just an interesting observation that that I've made, and I want to thank the people over at the Earlyhood Childhood Education podcast for opening my eyes to that, because it's something I didn't think of. Even in my own company, um, I tend to not just hire, I have no biases, but all the applications that come in for people that are interested in the education field, it's mostly women, and these are great women. These are women that most of the time are more qualified than I am in a lot of areas, and so of course, I'm all about hiring the best people, and I love to bring them on my team. But there's so few men even applying, even trying to be on the team, and that's something that's really interesting to me. Um, so if you're if you're a qualified man or a woman or whatever, and you're interested in education, please hit me up. Whether if you want to work at my company or you just want some advice, you want some feedback about getting into the education business, and being a part of this field, or if you're a man who's in education and you feel alone, I'm here to help. Or if you're a parent and you feel the education system is stacked against your boy, or maybe your girl has some tendencies that are known to be boy tendencies. I work with a lot of girls that are athletes, that are active and a little hyper, and sometimes those are traits that we attribute to boys, but plenty of girls have these traits too. Um, so the school system is designed for a certain energy, and there's certain personality types that really excel in that kind of environment. And there are other types that are, they might excel just as well, if not better, in other environments that just aren't geared for the way school is set up. And I think a lot of that has to do with, gender-related issues, to keep it as vague as possible, because I'm not here to get political on any of that. I'm here to change the world one child at a time. So if any of this interests you, I'm just here to start a conversation. Feel free, send me a direct message, send me a text. Happy to hear from you guys. Love you. Thank you so much, and have a great day.